Hello everybody, today I'm going to be talking about a game that currently does not exist. This is a game that would be a sequel, or I guess the third game in a series that is a series that I really care about, and that series is the Mario Baseball series, starting on the GameCube with Mario Superstar Baseball, and continued on the Wii with Mario Super Sluggers. I've never actually played Superstar Baseball, but Super Sluggers is a game that I just really played a lot in my childhood and really enjoyed, like a lot. I played through the story mode a million times. I played through the exhibition against computers, against my own friends and family all the time. It's just a game that has a very important part in my life. Today I'm going to be talking about the possibility of a third installment in the series, which isn't just even confirmed currently, but I'd like to believe that it will happen soon on the Nintendo Switch. Currently, we have a Mario Tennis that came out on the Switch, Mario Tennis Aces. We have a Mario Golf that came out on the Switch. I forget its name. I always forget its name. And just later this year, we're getting a Mario Strikers third installment, which is a pretty big deal, considering that Mario Strikers and Mario Baseball have always kind of been tied together with their releases. I really hope that this means that we'll be getting another Mario Baseball game soon for the Switch. So because of that, I'm kind of going to be talking about what I'd like to see in that game and just kind of a general, idea of what would be really fun, especially characters-wise. But first, before we do that, let's talk about the story mode. Of course, I want a campaign mode, very similar to the one from Super Sluggers. That was one of my favorite modes in Mario Super Sluggers. It was just a lot of fun to walk around the overworld and kind of like come into contact with all these different characters. You'd have to solve puzzles to find them and then compete in their little challenges to actually unlock each of the characters and then fight against the entire team for the final showdowns. And as you build up your roster, you can get more abilities by getting the different captains. It was a really fun and enjoyable mode to me, one that I've played through countless times. So that would just be a lot of fun to have something very similar to that come back, but I don't exactly know. And I think Nintendo could do a lot to evolve and make the concept better, but not completely changing it, because I think that it was really good and not enough people talk about it. As for maps in the game, like stadiums, I, again, haven't played Superstar Baseball, but I really enjoy pretty much all of them in Super Sluggers. I think ones like Peach Ice Garden and Luigi's Mansion are a bit rough. I'm not a big fan of Peach's Ice Garden's ice physics, and I don't really like Luigi's Mansion just because it's so dark, but I really enjoy Daisy Cruiser for the gimmicks that it has, as many people don't, but I think that it's a really enjoyable course from what I've played of it. Fun fact, I didn't even know that course existed until about a week ago, so yeah. But I think Mario Stadium was a lot of fun. Yoshi Park was a pretty enjoyable stage, and Wario City was very fun without being too intrusive. DK Jungle had a decent amount of obstacles in it, but it wasn't too bad. Bowser Jr.'s Playroom was a pretty enjoyable stage, and I liked Bowser's Castle too. I think it was called Bowser's Castle? Yeah. So I'd like courses similar to that, but I don't think they need to bring all of them specifically right back. But from what I understand, a lot of the ones in Superstar Baseball are very similar to the ones we get in Super Sluggers. Like DK Jungle is very similar to whatever the DK course is in that game, and the Mario Stadium in Super Sluggers is very similar to the one from Superstar Baseball as well. So I think, and there's also, I'm pretty sure Yoshi Park is just in both games, just slightly different. So I'd really not gonna talk too much about the stages, because I think that they can do a lot of fun stuff with the maps, and I don't want to be like, well, this is what I want and this is what I want. What I really want to talk about in this video is the characters that I would like to see the most in the game. I want to see every single character from Super Sluggers return. I'm not sure, there's a lot of characters that I think have less of a chance of returning, but specifically the Piantas and the Nokis, as those are really Mario Sunshine era kind of characters that I feel like are a lot less likely to show up now that Mario Sunshine has been out for 20 years. Also, characters like, I think PD still gets around the block, but I wonder if K. Rool and Critters and Baby DK especially, I could definitely see those three leaving, as well as Tiny Kong, as they're just not really that iconic of characters anymore. Toadsworth as well, as much as I love Toadsworth and I really want him to come back, I don't think he's quite as likely as maybe some of the other characters that we have here. Even Funky Kong and Dixie Kong haven't really shown up in Mario spin-offs since the Wii era, from what I remember. So that's not really looking too good for them, but I'd really love to see every character return. On top of that, I think that there should be some more captains. In Mario Super Sluggers, we have 12 captains: Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Wario, Waluigi, Yoshi, Birdo, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Bowser, and Bowser Jr. I'd love to add in a couple others, specifically Rosalina, I think is a very obvious pick here. She's just a very iconic Mario character at this point, and one that just seems like a very obvious choice. On top of that, I'd like to see Pauline. I think Pauline is a really awesome character that was from, Donkey Kong and then came back with a larger role in Odyssey, and it can kind of be a Mario Odyssey representative, and I think that would be really cool. On top of that, I think Captain Toad also deserves a captain spot, because, first of all, his name is Captain Toad, but second of all, I think Captain Toad... Toad himself is a very iconic character, and in Mario Super Sluggers, he kind of gets backseated as just a generic character that has 4 different colors, even though Yoshi also is a character with 4 different colors, but he is also a captain. I think that Toad could also get the same thing, and I'd like to see Captain Toad. I think Captain Toad would be kind of cool because I don't know if he would be able to jump. Jumping is a mechanic in the Mario Baseball series, and Captain Toad is not able to jump in his games. So it'd be really cool if Captain Toad couldn't jump but had some sort of other ability he could use instead that still made him viable to use. I'd really like to see that a lot. Since we're adding in captains though, or just more characters in general, you have to remember that there needs to be characters that also have chemistry with those characters. For those who haven't played the Mario Baseball games, chemistry is a mechanic where characters who have a relationship in the canon or just because they felt like it, for instance, I don't know why Monty Mole and Goomba have a connection. That just never really made that much sense to me. I'm not complaining, but it just never really made that sense. The point is that they have to create these kind of chemistry connections in the game so that the game mechanics can work better. Chemistry is a very important mechanic in Mario Baseball, and if you don't know about it, I recommend... I'm not going to bother explaining it. I'll probably say something wrong and sound like an idiot, but basically, I need characters that have connections to these characters that I'd like to introduce. So for Rosalina, I picked Luma. I feel like Luma's a very obvious choice. There are tons of characters, like I mentioned, Goomba and Shy Guy, that are just kind of generic characters. Pianta, Noki, from the different Mario games. Luma is a totally obvious choice. I think Luma is also playable in Mario Tennis Aces, so it just seems like a very easy choice to have a chemistry connection with Rosa. On top of that, I'd like to see Lubba from Mario Galaxy 2. He's just a very enjoyable character, and I think he'd be a lot of fun to play as well. He'd probably be a pretty heavy hitter, which is always really fun in these games. So I'd love to see Lubba come in. And as a very obscure pick, I'd also love to see Guillermo from Mario Galaxy as well. He's a pretty slept-on NPC, and he hasn't really shown up in any spin-offs, but he's fairly iconic, I feel like, and I think it would be really awesome to see him come in as a player in this next game. As for Pauline, I picked Cappy. I feel like Cappy is a very obvious Mario Odyssey representative character that would be a lot of fun to play as. I also put in the Broodals, just because I think that they are important characters in Mario Odyssey as well that are just easy to pick. And I also just want to see one of the musicians from New Donk City. I think that would be a lot of fun if he has his guitar as a baseball bat. That would just be a really funny character and one that I would really enjoy to play as. While we're talking about the Broodals, I'd also think the Koopalings are pretty guaranteed if we do get another game. The Koopalings have made a pretty large comeback since Super Sluggers came out, and it just seems very obvious to me that these characters would obviously be playable in this game. They would all obviously have chemistry connections with each other, so that would be a pretty easy one to fill out. On top of that, I think Boom Boom and Pom Pom are good choices. Boom Boom was playable in Mario Tennis Aces as well, and I think Pom Pom is playable in something, I don't remember what, but they both seem like fairly likely choices to me. Now we're going to go out there with some more kind of out there picks. I'd like to see Egad from Luigi's Mansion. He's, of course, an iconic character. Luigi's Mansion's even represented in Mario Super Sluggers. There's an entire map for it. And Egad, I think, totally deserves to come in. He'd obviously have a connection with Luigi. And I'd also love to put in Gooigi. That would just be hilarious. And he would obviously have connections with Luigi and Egad as well. And I think those would just be some really fun characters to have in as some Luigi's Mansion representatives, because we don't really have much in the current game. There's a lot of enemies in Mario baseball games currently, and I really enjoy that trend, and I mean, it makes sense. There's a lot of enemies in Mario games in general, so naturally a lot of the character roster would come from enemies. So, like, I mean, there's so many in the game. Goomba, Paragoomba, Koopa Troopa, Paratroopa, Dry Bones, Boo, Petey Piranha, King Boo, Monty Mole, Wiggler. There are so many different playable, just kind of minions or antagonists in Mario Baseball, and I'd love to add some more to that. I think Chain Chomp is a great choice. He was playable in Mario Tennis Aces also, and he's just a really fun character. I remember when they announced Mario Tennis Aces was going to have Chain Chomp in it, and that was just really awesome. I think a lot of people were like, this is awesome, I get to play as Chain Chomp. And I think Chain Chomp would be really cool to have come back again. Spike is another one that I would love to see. He's also in Mario Tennis Aces. I think he could be a really good pitcher, honestly, because Spike in the games is pretty good at throwing balls. So it just makes sense to me to have Spike come in. He even throws the longer, spiky, like, rolling things as well. That could easily be his bat. I think Spike is a very obvious choice, and I'd love to see him join as well. King Bob-omb is another one that I've chosen. He showed up in Mario Golf, the new one. I forgot what it's named. I love King Bob-omb. He's also in Mario Kart Tour now. As a big Mario 64 fan, I just love King Bob-omb in general, and I would love to have him as a playable character as well. And then I also put in Chargin' Chuck, who is a football player, but in Mario World he throws baseballs, so I feel like it just makes far too much sense. I'm pretty sure he's also playable in the new Mario Golf, so Chargin' Chuck once again just seems like a very easy choice. As another new character, I'd also like to see Nabbit. I like Nabbit, and I feel like Nintendo likes Nabbit too. He was in Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, I'm pretty sure, just for one event, but he was. And other than that, we haven't really seen him much around. I really like Nabbit as a character, and I think he could be really fun to have in this game, so Nabbit is one of my choices as well. Now I'm going to pick 3 characters that are just absolutely never going to get in, as they just really won't. The first one is Fawful from Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. I'm not a big Mario RPG guy, but I love Fawful. I think that he's a really cool character, and having him in this game would just be really cool. There's no way it's ever going to happen, but it would be a really cool character to have for sure. I would just love to see that. On top of that, Geno and Mallow from Mario RPG, of course, are obvious things that people are going to go, yeah, I want Geno and Mallow, and Geno and Mallow would be cool. Let's face it, though, it's never going to happen. Square Enix owns the characters, from what I understand, so there's just, like, really no way that they're going to get into the game. The best we'll get is a Geno Mii costume. And speaking of the Miis are also playable in Super Sluggers, and I have no idea if they'll return, because it kind of seems like Nintendo's not a big fan of the Miis anymore with that new Wii Sports that's coming out. But who knows? I think the Miis are an important part of Super Sluggers, so it'd be cool to see them come back as well. And then finally, we have a lot of Donkey Kong characters in Super Sluggers, and as I said, I'm not sure how many of them would actually realistically stick around, but assuming they all did, I would also love to see Cranky Kong. I think he's an obvious choice, as he's one of the main playable characters in the most recent Donkey Kong game, Tropical Freeze, which, well, you know, came out like 10 years ago at this point, but nevertheless, Cranky Kong is an important character, and I feel like he's very easy to use. He already has a cane that could obviously be his bat. I think Cranky's just a great choice. And he can add another, you know, old man representative up there with Toadsworth. I love the old man characters. And then finally, I'd also love to see Bluster Kong. So yeah, that's basically my picks for this. I kind of went off the chemistry thing for a while there. Obviously, I think the Kongs would have chemistry with Cranky, and, you know, a lot of those villains that I wanted to introduce could have chemistry with each other. Chargin' Chuck, Spike, Chain Chomp, Bob-omb. I think they all could easily have some chemistry with each other. So there's really not much issues with the chemistry in general. The Brutals obviously would each have chemistry with each other. I feel like that's a pretty good roster. If you have any characters that you would like to see in the game, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear more. I could also talk about, maybe in a different video, I'll talk about what kind of mechanics and stuff I'd like to see. Of course, this game doesn't even exist right now. This is all just hypothetical of if we ever do get a third Mario baseball game, which I'm really hoping we do. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.